Doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. I wasn't trusting my gut. I wasn't listening to my gut. And we know that the brain gut connection, like our emotions dwell in our gut. I didn't know this back then, but now I do. It really was when I was like living like in a tug of war with myself. And in the book, I say that the words tug and gut are the same letters backwards. Tug, you have a tug in your gut. So when I say when I have a pull in my gut, I'm very intuitive. When I don't follow my intuition, I'm always wrong. Like follow my intuition, trust my gut, right? Like shut out the noise. And also, when I walk into a situation and I feel something's off, I know it's because I'm not being true to myself.
Hello, welcome back. This is Andreea Parc.
And Alexa Dumitru.
And this is Alive.Again podcast, a podcast where attorneys and other professionals meet to discuss real life challenges and how our decisions shaped our journeys. Our guest today is Lisa Stuart. She is a Beverly Hills attorney, speaker, podcaster, author, and creator of the Drama Diet. She helps successful individuals eliminate drama, reclaim their power, and create the life they deserve. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here with us. Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, both of you, for having me here. It's such a pleasure to be here.
So, we speak about drama, and I guess we all have a little bit of drama in our lives. And I would like to ask you, you've been an attorney, practicing attorney in Beverly Hills for 25 plus years, right?
Yes.
Tell us, how did you get to the drama diet? Was it something that you saw in your personal life, or it was something that you saw in your clients?
Oh, no, this was all personal. This was all personal. I know you can relate to this as an attorney as well, is I would always say that I'm advocating for my clients and I can advocate very well well for my clients, but who's advocating for me? So I was like for me in my personal life, I never liked confrontation, right? I can go into court and I could stand up for my clients, but when it came up for standing up for myself and my voice, I had a really hard time with that. And so when I say drama, I'm speaking twofold. I'm speaking for the internal drama of the negative self talk, the self sabotaging thoughts, the limiting beliefs, the guilt, the anxiety, the doubt, the worry. And then there's the external drama of other people's opinions, judgment from others, empire, like all the energy vampires, like all of those things that suck you out. And so for me, it was my personal life that led me on the road to the drama diet.
You speak about the internal and the external, and I know very well how that works, because that actually, the combination of that led me to lose my license and spend almost 3 years in federal prison. And that's the reason why I do the work that I do to help people, attorneys especially, avoid the exact pitfalls and the exact drama that somehow you pointed to the right word that so many of us avoid.
And you seem like you've been on your own drama diet already because you're so poised and present and calm in the midst of that chaos. I can't even imagine all that. But yes, it's so true. When we get back to ourselves and really get to the source within us, because the chaos and the drama outside of us, it doesn't go away. But it's how do we maintain calm and peaceful and balanced inside of us so we can stay balanced even when our world is out of balance. That's really the premise of it.
You were referred to me by our common publisher, the Three Tomatoes. I know that you have several book signings during California. So, for people that are outside of California and cannot attend your book signing, they can get it on Amazon. In your book, you speak about the drama cycles.
Yes. So
Can
thank
you?
you.
Yes, the book. Can you please explain what those cycles are and how did you get to realize that?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much. The book was published by, or is published by the Three Tomatoes Publishing Company. And yes, it's available on Amazon, also many other online platforms such as Barnes and Noble online. When you're talking about the drama cycles, I think it was like the loop, the pattern that kept repeating
The
itself.
the vicious cycles that we are somehow, unfortunately, all kind of experience that vicious cycle when we cannot get off the hamster wheel and we get from one thing to another.
My favorite topic. So basically, Uh, I was constantly on a loop. It was like drama on repeat. I felt like I was a drama magnet and things kept repeating itself until I realized that I was the problem because if I was the problem, I could be the solution to stop it, that I had to figure it out. And so the way that it came for me is even last night, I was up for 3 to 5 in the morning. My mind just goes, but it used to go on the worry loop where I wake up and think about all the the things that were, could go wrong or the things I regret. Last night was more, I just couldn't sleep. So thankfully I think I'm over those 2 a.m., but you know what I'm talking about. Maybe the viewers do when you wake up in the middle of the night, you've got the thought loop running around your mind like a carousel. And so the way I would imagine it is my thoughts were going round and round my mind like a carousel, and the horses on the carousel were the emotions and they were going up and down. So depending on my thought, if I was feeling good, the horses would be high, and if I was feeling bad or low or angry or sad, the horses would be low. And so it was such a frenetic energy going on with thoughts racing around my mind in a circle and the horses dipping high or dipping low that I was like, okay, this is enough. I've got to put a cog in the wheel. And so I figured it out by creating a 3D drama free formula, which makes up the basis of 7 chapters in my book where I really dissect it. But the quick version is you first disrupt the drama. I put my hand up. You stop it in its tracks. So before it enters you, you just disrupt it. Then you deflate it. You squeeze all the air out of it. So you sort of like get to the root of where is this coming from and making sure that it doesn't come back. So you're squeezing that air out. And then you detox the drama. You flick it away. So disrupt, deflate, detox. And by detox, I mean that you're not ignoring it. You're actually facing it, you're feeling it, you're freeing it, you're acknowledging it's there, but you're not letting it control you. You're controlling your response to it. You're taking a beat, you're responding to it instead of reacting to it. And you're observing it from a neutral vantage point that you're like, you see it's there, but you're not going to reach out your finger and get sucked into the frenzy of that anymore. You're going to just kind of observe it and know that it's there and kind of like go on with your life in peace. That's a very short version of it.
For the listeners, and the difference between us who did the work and us before the work, that similar to people suffering from this rumination, is that we know how to see it and not be caught in it. When we do the work, it doesn't mean that we don't have rumination.
Correct. It's there. It's just we're able to stop it quicker. Like there was a scenario a few days ago that I was in a situation where I started to ruminate and I was like, wait, hold on, stop, take a beat and really assess the situation. So it's not that it's a one and done. Life keeps going, problems get bigger, they evolve. When you overcome one hurdle in your life, let's say it's a fear of visibility or a fear of failure, whatever it is, you overcome that, another set will come your way. That's just how life is. And so it's a matter of taking these tools with understanding and grace and knowing that we're human. We're going to like, I'm going to fall subject to it too. I'm going to have a moment where I need to just like, have a moment to deal with it before I can regroup, and that's okay. And as long as we remember to come back to our tools, that we have the tools, that we're okay and we're human and giving ourselves grace, I mean, that's just life. That's just how we navigate through it.
And external drama is external drama. You can't control external drama. That's part of life.
No, you can't control external drama. The only thing you can control is your responds to it. And when people feel like they really attach to a situation, or it's like a knee-jerk reaction, somebody says something, it triggers something, and you just want to give that knee-jerk reaction back, that's just going to keep escalating. And so sometimes people think that if they just take a beat and don't respond, or respond from a place of peace, sometimes people think that's like being weak or soft or giving in, but it really isn't. Because when you don't amplify a situation, it sort of ends up dissolving on its own, because whatever we focus our attention on grows. So I always say focus on the solution, not the problem. If you have a problem, you have a solution. The problems in this world aren't created without an equal energetic component that's called the solution. And so if we keep focusing on the solution instead of the problem starts to diminish, the solution starts to grow till we don't even realize that problem anymore. But a lot of people don't realize that, and they just replay things on repeat, conversations they've had, encounters they've had, or future ruminating about future events that haven't had. And that is where people get stuck, when they feel that if they stay mindfully present, they sometimes feel like, well, they're not really doing the work, but that actually is the work, because the past is over. You're not reliving it anymore. When you relive it, your mind and body don't know whether you're reliving it in real time or in the past. So your body actually goes through the same physical and emotional response system, but it's happened already. And so that's why we really have to learn to let it go.
I work as an instructor at a fashion school now, and I have a class that's 3 days a week, 10 to 3. So it's a pretty long program, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's a lot of time spent with the same people. And oftentimes, when you're around people for so many hours, there's bound to be little arguments, disagreements, whatever it may be, and especially in such a frustrating environment of learning something that's really challenging. And I often find myself having to like stop myself, put a cog in the wheel, like you said, take a breath, and just regroup and focus on the solution. Because there's some times when I just find myself like arguing over nothing. And I have to be like, what are we talking about here? Stop, pivot, solution. And it's funny that I like the way that you're talking about it with the cycle, with the carousel.
You're doing it. So congratulations to you for already getting ahead of it and doing it. It's so true, especially you're in a position of power. You're in a position of leadership. So they're looking to you to kind of set that tone.
Right.
And when you set that tone, it's like everyone else around you will alchemize to it, right? Like you're setting the energy tone of the room, right? And once you're able to dissolve that tension, it just tends to dissipate.
I find myself having those thoughts that sometimes when I just let things go and I don't argue my point or I don't feed into the drama, it shows as weakness somehow because I'm not trying to win. So my ego is making that making me feel like I'm losing somehow. And I think the most difficult part of this whole getting out of this carousel is to shut my ego down and say no, because in reality, I'm making things better. I'm making myself, I'm taking myself out of this drama, but also I'm taking the person who I'm having the drama with out of the drama as well. So I think that's how do you think about that perspective on it?
I love it. Ego is a big one. Ego is a huge one. And I'm going to dissect that in a minute. But what I want to say something is I completely resonate with you, because there's an expression that it's better to be kind than right. But sometimes I find myself, I just want to be right. I want to prove my point, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just, I get it. And it's like sometimes I also have to remind myself, like, okay, I don't always have to be right. Even if I feel I'm right, if in this situation it's not going to better things, let it go. And it's very hard for me to do that sometimes. So I resonate with you on that yes, I'll feel like, okay, I'm backing off, I'm being weak, but it's not in the whole scheme of things. And a lot of times I find when I do that and I back off, the other person tends to come around and be like, oh, well, maybe you had a point there. But it's funny. It's when we soften, then they can kind of we give them permission to soften. So going back to the ego, that's a huge one. My book taps along, spirituality parameters, and I do believe our ego gets in the way of so much. Our ego tends to be the mean girl in our head, the noise around us, the judgment, the limiting beliefs. It's like we got to do this, we got to fight. And our higher selves, the quiet part of us that really knows, is really our true self. And the ego makes all the noise. So I agree with you on that. When we can tame our ego and really know that our ego is not us. Our ego is everything that we grew up to believe, everything that we have in our mind, because we can only come from our own perception and we can only come from what we know. Everyone is coming from their limited like perceptions of where they've been. So our ego is like filtering that out into like, this is what I know, and this is what feels safe to me, and this is what has to be done. When our higher selves and our real essence really knows the bigger picture. So when we take a step back, our ego's fighting to be center stage. And that's why it feels so uncomfortable. Like it's telling us we're being weak, we're not being strong, we're giving in. But that's just them throwing a tantrum, knowing that we can really take a step back. And in the whole scheme of things, like, who cares, right? We're doing okay.
It's something so ridiculous. And I'm just like, oh, I have to be right on this. And it's the smallest things, because the big things, I mean, I don't really care. But the little things is just like, oh, why are you fighting me on this?
Okay, but that's another thing I always say, like, why is it that one thing triggers a person and not something else?
Right.
Something may trigger you and not me because it's hitting something in you that you haven't resolved. So that's also something to point out. So let's say something triggers me and something else doesn't trigger me, then I really have to think like, what is it about myself that I haven't faced yet? Why is it like bringing up like feelings of unworthiness or not good enough or perfectionism, or like, what is it trying to show me? And I go, thank you for bringing this lesson into my life. And then I have to do the hard part and figure that out, which is not fun. It's super uncomfortable. It's not pretty. It's frustrating. So we actually feel like we're going backwards, but it's just like an arrow when you pull the arrow back so you can go farther. That's just what it is. And once we can get through that uncomfortable metamorphosis about it, we can move through it. And then the next time it won't even affect us, or it will affect us less, but we'll know like how to deal with it.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it with the arrow.
Yeah. No, triggers, it's a big thing. And yeah, you can resolve it in one sitting. It usually takes longer than that. But once we understand it, it's pretty good going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I came up with the idea of the drama diet in 2010. It took me a really long time to figure out like what that truly meant and to get through my drama. It took me at least 10, 15 years because I started writing the book in 2021 and I was still working through stuff as I was writing the book. It was like each chapter was sort of like coming to life as I would hit the next chapter. Something in my life would come up that was similar to what I was writing. And I would literally have to work through that in real time. And then, like, oh, that really helps me with this chapter. So, and even though I wrote the book and I know the tools, I'm constantly open. Like, I really wrote it for me as my blueprint for me to be like, okay, this is what worked for me. So I can remember. And I'll open the book even now to things that will help me that I'm like, oh, yes, I forgot I have to do that. And that's really helpful for me in this moment because you know, we're all human. So even when we know things may not trigger us as much, but then other things will trigger us and we won't know why. So we're constantly evolving.
It's funny that you said that I have this book. There are 25 exercises for my Apple technique that I teach. And I have a coach. So I was going through something and she stopped and she said, "Why don't you take your book and open it to such and such page? And why don't you do that exercise and you will see for yourself?" So you're so right. We still go through things.
I mean, there's a reason we wrote the books, right? Because these are things that we needed at the time and we probably will need for the remainder of our life in some level, just as reminders. easy to slip back. It really is easy to fall back into old patterns. It's easier because it's comfortable for us, it's safer, and it's what we've known for, at least for me, most of my life. So coming out and constantly like, moving through fear and doing the scary thing and the going into the unexpected and the unknown, it was not comfortable for me for so long. It's getting comfortable. It's getting more comfortable for me as I do it, but you really have to push yourself out of that, level of comfortableness in order to do it. There's always going to be new things that come up. So it's a good challenge to have. I mean, it keeps life interesting. It keeps us on our toes. I feel like for people that just want to constantly learn and evolve and really, experience life, we're always going to be thrown with setbacks and everything, no matter how much work we've done on ourselves. It's all, the more work we've done on ourselves, the more things are going to get hurled at us, I feel.
Yeah. And when you came up to the concept of the drama diet, was it one particular instance or was it something bigger than that?
A lot. That's a whole other book that that's that's a whole book. I had a lot of, it's interesting because, as you know, I have a show and would love to have you guys come on my
Yes.
show. I actually interviewed my mother on the show and we talked about breaking generational chains and a lot of the guilt and stuff that was sort of lineage in our family and all of those things. I also had a lot of drama in my life when I got divorced from my first husband in 2010. And then currently I'm remarried and my current husband wasn't accepted for many years. And there was a lot of things that were going on with that, and it really caused a lot of drama on drama on drama. And through it all, I had thought that my current husband came into my life to save me, but I realized he came to show me that I can save myself, and I wasn't ready. It was hard for me to face everything in my life that I needed to like knock down those pillars and reconstruct, because it was hard. It was like I was such a people pleaser and I was so fearful of what, if other people didn't like me, what they would think of me, the judgment. Like that was me my whole life. And then everything I feared came true and then some. And so I think it was working through all of that and realizing I faced my biggest fears and came out the other side. It might have taken a while, but then I was okay. And so, and stronger, and reset boundaries, and my relationships are stronger than ever with everyone. But it really took that work that wasn't fun. And it really does work, but it really comes from, we all have something in our lives that we're meant for. We all have this purpose, and we all come with a certain set of limiting beliefs, or they're thrown upon us during our lifetime. And it's working through those. Everyone's different. It's working through those that we really can find our truest selves and just keep honing our practice and living in our purpose and following our passion and not feeling held back by ourselves or anybody else.
You mentioned in your book that drama is predictable. What is the first sign of that?
Okay. So drama doesn't go away. It's when we feel something's off or we're not aligned. It could be anything from we walk into a room and we just all of a sudden feel insecure, or somebody talks to us and we all of a sudden react a certain way inside of us, right? Reaction is not good, responding is good. And so if we know, if we see those signs coming, then we know that we can have the tools to prevent them. So for example, if somebody walks into a family event and they know that there's been some friction lately, you can go in there ahead of time. If you go in there thinking, oh, there's going to be friction, probably going to be friction. But if you change your energy, your focus, your things that you're going to say, you don't react to people, you respond, or you just, you kind of, what we talked about before, we don't engage, right? It's not being weak. It really changes the aura and the temperature of the room. So we're able to do that. So we can't change other people, but we can change our response to them. And by changing our response to them, eventually it'll change their response to us. Or if anything, they'll stay the same, but we're just not reactive anymore. So it just changes the dynamic.
It's very interesting that my book is called Predict Your Outcomes, because now looking back at my life, it was very predictable that I wasn't on the right path and something is going to happen. I believe that it takes awareness. We can't do this work without the willingness to be aware, because I find that a lot of people are not even willing.
Awareness is so key. I do talk about that in my book. Awareness, acknowledgement, and acceptance of the situation, right? Once we're aware of it, we're able to do something about it. And once we're able to do something about it, we are able to accept the situation as is. When we're able to accept the situation as is, we're able to alchemize it. But the only way we can alchemize it is if we're first aware of it. If we ignore it and we are like, it's not there, it's going to fester inside of us. We're never going to resolve it. It's always going to be presented in some form. We think that we're just ignoring it so it's going away, but it doesn't go away. Drama doesn't go away. It lives within us emotionally, physically, mentally, in our mind. It clutters our mind. And so when a big premise of the book is to embrace the shadows, embrace the dark side, and accept all of it, because we're a full range of emotions. We're a full spectrum of things, right? Why should we only accept the good parts of ourselves? We have to acknowledge and be aware of every part of ourselves, because it makes the whole of us. It's not bad. It just makes the whole spectrum of things, right? Energies are from everything from negative to positive. When we're aware of the parts of us that are maybe not the pretty parts of us, and we give it some love, then we can eliminate the drama in the sense that we're okay with bringing it with us and we know it's there, but we're just not going to let it rule what we're doing. Does that make sense?
We
Yeah,
all have quirks.
we all do. And it's a good thing. It makes us all unique.
In your show, The Drama Diet, you interview guests about their dramas and you speak about that. What was the funniest or the most outrageous drama that you've heard from one of your guests?
The one that sticks out, I have some dear friends, Paul and Patrick, and I've known Paul for many years, both of them. Paul is a big designer and they're both on a reality show. And they're very outlandish. On my show, they were very outlandish. They're dear, dear friends, amazing people. Paul doesn't drink or do drugs, and he was talking about all the crazy things he did when he was um after surgery, or he had a glass of wine, and he was going on and on the show, and I was like, I might need to bleep some of this out here, but it was a little funny. We were laughing. We had a good laugh. Their episode's supposed to drop this week, actually. Yeah, they're fun.
We're looking forward to, unless you edited
No, it's in there.
those parts.
It's fun.
Okay.
They're great.
Yeah. Do you have exercises in your book?
I do. I do. I have a card deck also, which has been out for a couple years. So it's like you pull a card, and the drama diet doesn't just have exercises, it has recipes. So I did a play on the word drama. And at the end of chapters 5 through 11, there's recipes, there's exercises, and there's journal prompts. So I have a ton of exercises in there.
Conflict always makes people squirm, right? So sometimes avoiding those conflicts makes things messier, obviously. Like in my school, you have to address certain things. What is one tip of confronting without fueling the fire that you've learned from all of your wonderful guests?
So when we chapter 3 of my book is called the squirrel syndrome, because people are like squirrel and they get distracted. And it's basically, the tagline is from distraction to action. We get distracted by the things that we don't want to face. So we're constantly, and I write about this in the book, we're constantly chasing things so we can avoid what we don't want to face. We want to avoid the conflict. So we're constantly chasing the things that other things, but yet the conflict is always there chasing us. So we're running towards something to avoid the conflict. The conflict is there chasing us. And when we stop, we kind of collide, right? Because nobody wants to face conflict. It's not fun. It's friction. It makes us feel bad. Like, who wants to face it? But in order to have peace, you have to face the conflict, right? Like, you have to. The cover of the book is the scales of justice, not just because I'm a lawyer, but because my book is about the law of duality, right? So in any given moment, you've got the conflict and you've got peace. And in order to get to the peace, you need to face the conflict. Otherwise, the conflict is going to win. It's going to be stronger on that scale, right? So we face the conflict by acknowledging it. And in there, I talk about face it, feel it, free it. So when we face the conflict, it feels like we're like jolted, like we just got hit by something, right? So we've got to like acknowledge it, be aware of it. The hardest part is to then feel it, face it, feel it, free it. We've got to feel it. We've got to let whatever it is run through us. And that's part of the emotions. And emotions are just energy and motion, E for energy. And emotions are only supposed to run through our body for 90 seconds, right? From start to finish. We hold on to these emotions much longer than that because we constantly rehash things and then they turn into physical manifestations of like a headache, a stiff neck, etc. Then we've got to free it. But we can't free it because we want to cling on to it. We want to be right, right? We want to fight back. We want to like, this is our moment, right? But if we have a conflict and we see it for what it is and we acknowledge it, we're aware of it, we face it, we feel it and we free it, then we like see it over here. We're observing it without attaching ourselves to it. And we can look at it from that neutral perspective and be like, okay, that's going on. I'm not going to let that define me or attach to me. Like we talked about earlier, focus on the solution, not the problem. But we got to sort of take that out of us, but we have to let it run through us first because that's just how we are as humans. We feel things there and everything is energy.
How did you get over the fact that you were a people pleaser, but you still had to enforce your boundaries and you still had to go through these conflicts and really feel those things out? How did that manifest in you as a people pleaser?
I don't know if I'm 100% over it. I like to think I am. I still have those like worries and doubts and what are they going to think of me? I've got, different things coming up and I'm like, but I really don't let it dictate my life anymore. That was a hard one. That took me many years. And I think for me, it's because my worst fears came alive. Like people like judged me for things and, you know, didn't understand me and were like, I can't believe you like certain things. And everything that I feared came true and then some. But then also in the other spectrum. And I really stood my ground and said, but this is who I am. You may not understand who I am. And for me, it was so important. Maybe this kind of goes along the lines with you like saying that, that ego coming in. It was so important for me as part of that people pleaser to have people understand me and accept me for who I am. And they couldn't. They couldn't understand my choices. They didn't know where I was coming from. They're like, you changed. Like, who are you? And I can't like, why aren't you putting my needs first and all of that stuff? And which threw all that guilt on me, which I was such a guilt receiver for so long. And so it was a matter of having to really work through and be like, I don't need to accept the guilt. I don't need to accept the judgment. I don't need to have them like me. That was a big one for me. I don't need to have them accept my choices. That took years for me to go through. Like it took a really long time. A lot of the things that helped me through, I put throughout the book. And it was just a matter of, I really learned self-love. I really learned self-worth. I was very confident, but my self-worth was not very high because I was depending on other people to give me validation and affirmations. And I had to learn that it's okay to come from myself. And it was like, it felt really unsteady and uncomfortable for a really long time. Baby steps, kept going, kept going, kept going, setting my boundaries, loving myself, not judgment, letting things go. It was just everything in this book constantly until I got to the point where I'm like, okay, that happened. Maybe it stings for a minute. Let it go. And I literally let it go. But that's how baby steps.
How did it feel the first time when you put your foot down and you said, this is not my problem to keep within me? This is your problem that you're going to keep to yourself. How did that feel?
I think I spent 2 years crying on the floor for things that it wasn't going my way. I wasn't one of those people like you. There's some people that are like, this is what I want to do. Too bad you don't agree. It's my life. I was not one of those people. If I was one of those people, I wouldn't, I'd probably have a different set of drama. But for me, it was like, why can't you accept me? And why don't you understand? Like, it was a lot of that. And it was like, it was just on repeat until I was like, you know what? I got to a point, actually, you know what it was? I realized like they're only coming from what they know, and they're actually coming from a place of love. They don't understand me because they've never been in my shoes. They've never felt what I felt. They don't see what I see in my mind, or in my heart. And so I was like, I really don't feel like they're really just trying to protect me from, they love me. This is their way of protection. And once I really accepted that and was like, and it was a lot of forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of other people. That was a huge one. And knowing, like, you know what, they don't understand me. It's okay if they don't. And once I accepted that in myself, it was like, it just kind of dissipated. I don't know how else to say it. It was like everything just sort of like was heightened. And then it was like, oh, and it just kind of like everyone exhaled and just sort of, it just happened like that. I don't know how to explain it any other way.
You had to truly understand them so you could understand yourself, is what I'm understanding.
I had to understand where they were coming from, that it was okay, but I had to understand myself where I was coming from, and I had to give myself that love and be like, this feels truest in my heart. Because when I had gut issues for years, 20 years. Doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. I wasn't trusting my gut. I wasn't listening to my gut. And we know that the brain gut connection, like our emotions dwell in our gut. I didn't know this back then, but now I do. It really was when I was like, ugh, living like in a tug of war with myself. And in the book, I say that the words tug and gut are the same letters backwards. Tug, you have a tug in your gut. So when I have a pull in my gut, I'm very intuitive. When I don't follow my intuition, I'm always wrong. Like, follow my intuition, trust my gut, right? Like, shut out the noise. And also, when I walk into a situation and I feel something's off, I know it's because I'm not being true to myself. So that has been my guiding light. That has helped me. I thankfully haven't had gut issues since. And it's just really live like, it's okay if somebody else, let them have the tantrum. It's their journey, not ours. Let them feel like we're changing. It's their journey, not we're like, they're not there to make us happy. So why do we have to be there to make them happy? As long as we're not hurting people, you're not telling somebody else how to live their life, right? You're like, like I'm very, hopefully my friends feel this and my family, that I'm very supportive when people, I'm a supportive friend. I don't need to understand them to be supportive. I've had people in my life that it was very hurtful because they're like, I don't really understand what you're doing. Even with writing the book and doing all of this, I don't understand. And I'm like, you don't need to understand. You just, you supportive of me or not. And so that to me was hurtful, but that makes me understand like not everyone's created that way, and that's okay. I need to be okay on my journey, no matter who's supportive of me or not. I'm not doing this for likes or accolades. I'm doing this because it aligns with my gut. So I don't know if that answered the question, but
No, I really did, and I really liked your answer. I really resonated with your answer because I had gut issues too.
yeah, it's not fun. Not
No.
fun.
Yeah. 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 I do too. And it's very interesting what you said about the book because my parents, for example, were not very happy with me writing the book because that meant that it was public, especially that I translated it in Romanian and I published it in Romania as well. But as you said, I wrote this book for myself first.
Yeah,
I felt that the pain that I had in me, now it's in the book and the book it's talking by itself. It's not in me anymore. So I needed to do this.
I love that you turned your pain into purpose. But more than that, especially people that have gone through so much trauma. I don't do trauma, what you've been through, I feel like it was very traumatic. I do drama. Like my clients have trauma. I don't touch that. I'm not an expert on that. I don't pretend to be. I do drama, but I feel like when people go through huge experiences in their life, it's because we're meant to do something with it, right? Like, as I'm very into energy and I'm very into like the equal energetic level. So for every how bad something is, there's something equally as good. That's why people always say when something good's about to happen, something bad happens, and they're like, oh, it's, karma. And I'm like, no, it's just you've got both of those. Which one are you going to tap into? Like, you have to trust what's meant for you is there for you. And for somebody like you that's gone through such a traumatic experience, and now you're turning it around into such a light in the world, like that's the reason you went through it, right? It's like that's part of your path. And to write the book, it felt so right with you and it resonated with you when I also talk about this in the book, like, why do we have certain desires and other people don't? It's because I really believe that the things that we feel called to are meant for us to do. Like, I love fashion. I have no desire to be a fashion designer. I love fashion, right? Or like different things. But like, if I see somebody like speaking on stage or before I wrote my book, completing their book, and I would feel like, oh my God, I felt something in me that was like, I could do that. Why aren't I doing that yet? Like it was like weird. Like why for that? The things that are meant for us, we know. We really know inherently. And when our, at least for me, when my gut was twisted with all the drama and everything, I couldn't listen to what it was telling me. And I, also like a fun fact, like I'm very big on wordplay. And so the words silent and listen are the same letters. So when we get silent, we can listen to what we really want. It's in the silence, and everything else, going back to the distraction, it's all noise.
Noise.
So when you filter through that, yeah.
So you were talking that you believe that something equally as good is for what's bad. Why do you think people focus more on the bad than the good?
I think people do what they're used to or they're comfortable with or what's known. I think if, for example, if somebody gave me a book, let's say there's 9 book reviews that are wonderful and 1 book review that's negative. Most of what do you think I'm going to focus on? Like the one thing that's not there. So people tend to focus on the thing that's not going right. It's actually should be the opposite. When we start to focus on the good things, my grandmother had a saying, she goes, focused on what you're blessed, not what you're stressed, right? We can focus on what we're stressed all day long. Who doesn't have stress in their life? Who doesn't have things going on? When we focus on what we're blessed with, sometimes people feel like, well, I don't have that and I don't have that. And if only I had that, then I would feel better. But that's the opposite, right? So everything in life is either a gift or a lesson, and lessons are in and of themselves gifts too. And it's hard for us to see because how could something bad be a gift? We don't
Painful. Yeah.
overlap painful. We don't know. Like where's the silver lining? Like you're going to say like you were in federal prison for 3 years. Like how is that a gift? Yes, it's a gift because you're giving it to the world, but why did you have to go through that in the first place? Right? Like we don't know. So, I mean, you don't know how many people you're helping out there. Like you don't know that. And unfortunately, you had to go through that, but you're not focusing on the bad. You're taking that and turning it into something good.
There's an Olympic figure skater who is really the gem of the Olympics and of the US team. And he performed yesterday and he fell, but he
Mm.
still won.
Oh, wow.
And that's the difference of the fact that he didn't let that affect him. And he just kept going as strong as he knows he could. He did not focus on that one little fall and he still won.
That. I love that. I love that. I think that's amazing. I was on the I was on the news the other night. It was my first time on the news. I was so excited and I
Congratulations.
butchered my line within 30 seconds. As I call myself a recovering people pleaser and a quasi repub See, I just butchered it again. I can't even say it. A quasi recovering perfectionist, which is so funny because I can't call myself a recovering perfectionist because I still have a bit. So I say quasi recovering perfectionist. I butchered it just like I butchered it right now. I took it as I butchered the perfectionist line because I said I wasn't quite over being a perfectionist. And there it was, like to show me,
Yeah.
like, how are you going to deal with this? You're on TV right now and you the word. I just did it on
You
your show.
can't.
And I kind of just shrugged it off and I was like, okay, so that's making me lean into moving past perfectionism because I keep messing up that line saying I'm not quite over it yet. And the universe keeps going. So we're going to just keep butchering it for you to make you face it, right? So that's a prime example right there. But what not as important as what you're or not as amazing as what that guy just the Olympian just did. So yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere and the universe loves to throw it in our face.
I mean, it's hilarious. I literally just did it right
Yeah.
now. I can't I have a perfectionist mentality. I like to say I'm moving past it. It's still in me. So the universe keeps messing things up for me so that I just get over being that, right? So it's hard. It's hard. We want to be perfect. We don't want to mess up. We don't want to fall. I did a dance competition a few years ago. I was taking it for fun. It was before the pandemic and I practiced. We did this. I'm not a dancer, but I was taking these classes, and one of them was like we did this flip. It was a professional with like people in the class. It was like one of those you're paired up, and he was flipping me. And in practice, I stuck the landing, stuck the landing, stuck the landing, and then the night of the show, I slipped when he did it. And I just kind of laughed it off and I like moved, I went on with the dance, but I was like, I could have really beaten myself up going like, oh my God, in front of all these people. And I stuck it the whole time but I kind of laughed it off and I was like, you know what am I going to do? It is what it is, but it's hard. It's hard for people that are like me, such a perfectionist that like I don't want to mess up. It's very hard, but we have to learn like we're human, we're going to mess up and who cares, right?
It's the beauty of life.
Yeah. We're imperfect. We're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, it happens to me almost all the time when I have guests and I rehearse with complicated last names. And English is not my first language. And I rehearse pronouncing their last names. And of course, when it's recording, I mess up the name. That
That's
is
okay.
what it is. What can you
Yeah,
do?
it is what it is, you know. It's human. It's what makes us human. And I think honestly, in this age of AI where everything is going to perfectionism, I think people will really be embracing the human flaws. I really do. I think so. My
It's
thought, we're going to
true.
want that human. Otherwise, everything's so perfect. And we're going to want that, like, oh, we messed up. That's okay, you know?
Yeah. Somebody else messes up as well. It's not just me.
Yeah.
It's that
This person on TV also
yeah,
messes up.
yeah, yeah. We feel
This Olympian.
comfortable. Yeah.
Yes,
We feel
exactly.
comfortable when someone who we look up to messes up.
Yeah. Because it
And
shows that they're human too.
yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the day, when I really think about it, like,
Who
this is
cares?
life. Like, who are we really performing for? Because it's all a performance, right? We're all just here on this stage of life. Like, who are we performing for? Like, who cares? Like, we mess up. Like, what's really gonna happen? Honestly, like nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nobody's thinking about it. We are, but nobody else is. Or like the Olympian that fell, like everyone's thinking, like, wow, like taking that as like permission to mess up in their own life, not anything negative towards him.
Yeah, and it's still being able to win. That's
Yeah.
the incredible part. He didn't ruminate on,
Yeah.
because usually when you mess
Mess
up,
up.
it
Yeah.
destroys the whole like feng shui of everything. It
Yeah.
like, it
Yeah.
messes with your
Mental.
emotions, with your
Yeah.
mental. But he
He's
didn't.
so laser focused as
Yeah.
players. My husband used to be a big tennis player when he was a junior pro tennis player growing up. And he said if he messed up on a serve or whatever, he would just shake it off onto the next, shake it off onto the next. Like you don't have time to ruminate or it's really going to get into your psyche. Like that's kind of how that's how he operates in life. Like he just messed that up, moved on. Like no time to just focus on that. There's always the next one, more things to do. It's over with. So that sort of has trickled into my mental state too when I think about that.
And now that we're at the end, it's that one question that I ask every guest, and that is, besides your work and responsibilities, what is one activity in your life that makes you feel more alive?
Working out, exercise, movement, anything that moves my body makes me feel good.
It's the blood flowing.
It's the blood flowing, it clears the mind. It's my therapy. It really is like it just feel well, that and shopping. Working out's a lot cheaper. But yeah, it's really movement for me. Like I've always been the one that has I love to sweat. I love exercise. Like people that don't like to exercise, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I live for it. And I don't get to do it every day because of my time. I guess I could if I woke up earlier, but I value sleep. But if I could work out every day, I would work out every day. Like I love it. It makes me feel alive. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Lisa, thank you so much. So, where can people find you?
Thank you both so much for having me. This was so wonderful. They can find me on Instagram at Lisa Stuart Official, and that's Stuart. I also have the Drama Diet on Instagram. They can also find me I have a website, the Drama Diet. And then I have the show, which is the Drama Diet. That's under the McCord List Media. So that app, they can go to the McCordList.tv and find the Drama Diet. Those are available online, also on Apple, Amazon Fire, Samsung, Roku. And that's to watch. And on traditional podcasts to listen to, it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.
We're going to list all of that in the description as well.
I think that's where it's all at. This is all very new, so I'm trying to see if I remember all. It's really under her app, the McCord List Media. The McCordList.tv is where you can look it up online. And then the other ones, there's an app. Like we watch it on Samsung on the app or on my computer. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your time and for your wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Same.
Our listeners, thank you very much for listening. For more conversations and more guests, please subscribe and follow us. Thank you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.